Sorry about that, guys. It's getting really hot in here. I tried to do it before it went live, but hey, it didn't happen the way I wanted it to. Either way, we're here today. I hope you guys are having a great week, taking the time off, enjoying time with family, maybe just relaxing a little bit, not even worried about inflation, Ukraine, the housing market. You know what? Just enjoying this week and having a great Thanksgiving. I'm going to make this one a short one today because I obviously have family in town. I also want to relax just a little bit, so I'm going to be doing that soon. But I did want to cover a couple of things today, as we do every Wednesday at 8 p.m. So if you're looking to know about the market stats, the local news you should know about, and also the national news as well that plays into our housing market here, and also any questions that you guys might have, I will answer here every Wednesday at 8 p.m. live for you. And also, if you're watching this after, in the comments, if you have any questions, leave them below, and I will get to them. I'll answer them as soon as I can. So let's see here. We'll start everything off as we do every week. I'd love to know where you guys are tuning in from. Even if you are watching the replay, let me know where you're watching from. I'd really like to know, are you here in town? Are you watching because maybe you got a postcard from me? That'd be really interesting to know. Are you watching because you're interested in moving to town, you're interested in investing? Let me know in the comments below and let me know where you're from. I'd love to be able to know and engage with you. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at the market stats like we do every single week. So I'm going to pull up the Northeastern Florida market stats. I'm going to share my screen here. And boom, boom, boom. All right. Log in here real quick. All right, my internet is running slow. Holy cow. I hope it's not too choppy on my live stream. Sorry about that, guys. I'm not sure what's going on here. Come on. Here we go. Okay. So now this week is probably a wash for most things. I mean, it's not like a lot of people are looking to go house hunting right now, the day, Wednesday, especially the day before Thanksgiving. Probably doing all those last minute items, getting things together. But new listings on the market, 150 new listings on the market last 24 hours, closed 130. People want to get in before the holidays, right? So that's almost a 1-for-1 right there. Pending, we got 98 pending and 39 contingent taking backup. I kind of count those, they're off the market essentially. They have a contract, but contingent taking backup is just saying like, hey, we have an inspection, we have a mortgage contingency, we have an appraisal contingency. Most contracts have that. So let's look here. Let's look at the past week just to get a better idea. Hopefully this loads a little faster. Okay, so new listings, we have 908 coming to the market, and then closed, we have 795. So that seems to be a better ratio than we've been seeing these past couple of weeks. That's almost, that's 8 out of 9 listings are going under contract. And then you have 297 pending, or 297 contingent taking backup, and then 741 pending. So I know a lot of what we're seeing is doom and gloom in the housing marketplace. And you know what, like a lot of these articles, you got to think they're written because they're doing their job, right? They're getting clicks on their article. They're getting themselves out there. They're getting read. I mean, I do it with the thumbnails, maybe I make it look like I'm going to freak out about the housing market, and it's not, I'm not freaking out about it just yet. The one thing I will say right now is, if you are looking to buy a house, the deals right now with new construction, they're lowering prices. They're being way more competitive because they have some builders have kind of caught up, and they have homes that'll be ready in maybe like a month or two, which is a complete difference than it was 6 months ago. And some builders are just trying to close out their year strong, so they're throwing incentives like crazy, like we haven't seen in several years, because the past 2 years, the only incentives that you were getting was maybe they'd pay for your closing costs. Whereas now, I mean, I've seen where they're going to offer $25,000 off the purchase price, an additional $20,000 in flex cash, however you want to use that towards your purchase price, towards closing costs. So they're wheeling and dealing a little bit. I just actually was able, and my buyer pushed me a little bit. I wasn't even expecting them to do this, but I had one builder actually give us an extra $10,000 towards closing costs, regardless of whatever lender they use. So they don't even have to use the in-house lender, and they're going to be able to get $10,000. So they can use whatever lender they want, shop the rate, and still get $10,000 towards their closing costs. If they use the in-house lender, they'd get 15. So there's a little bit back and forth in there. What is the best way to go? You got to really look at the math there, right? So let me hop back on the market stats. I just wanted to hop on that just because I've been running. Today I had 3 appointments, so I've been running around. I have 3 people coming in this week alone. My wife has a closing this week. We're just we're staying pretty busy here. My dog is whining, if you can hear that. So let's see here. Let's go to the market stats. And no, that's not what I'm looking for. Here we go. All right, so days on market. That's really the level that a lot of people, base what's going on in our market. We're here at 44.7 days for pretty much the current days on market and average days on market. We're about 44.7, which is up from, we were down here at 27.3 in May. So that's a significant change. But when you're comparing it to like 2019, that number was like 93 days on market. So we still have that significant way to go. Prices here, now let's see, looks like average list price has gone down, but we want to get rid of everything because I only care about sold prices. That's what sold average price is what matters to me, and sold median sale price. Those are the 2 important metrics I want to look at. That's what pretty much, that's how people look at the market, right? So let's check it out here. The numbers are out here. So in October, prices went up from $346,000, let's say $347 in September, up to $354,950, let's say $355 for the median sale price. And you know what? Here I don't know why I just didn't do this. Sorry. Make this a little bit easier. Sorry about that, guys. And let me hide that real quick. Boom. There we go. Okay, so that makes it a lot easier. So as you can see, with everything going on in the market, our market was trending upwards for several years, and in a drastic way. And with the interest rates, the downward pressure on the housing market, Ukraine, inflation, you guys know the story, you've been watching me. So we've seen some changes here where it started to flatten out and actually started to go down. So I think we're still up maybe 14% year over year, if I remember correctly. But in September, the sales prices hit 416 for the average, and the median was 345,000. So for the average sale price, it went from $416,000 up to $440,000, which is a significant increase there. Wow, that's a big change there. So our market doesn't seem to be slowing down here. Let me see here. Stop my screen. Boom. So looks like I got some comments. Let me go ahead and answer those comments, guys. And let's see. David Atschuler. Hope I didn't butcher that. David, following from Silver Spring, Maryland. Love watching your videos. David, thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. How's Maryland this time of year? Really like to know. Let's see. Love nature. A fan of the show as always. A regular. Happy Thanksgiving to you. Hope you and your family are doing well. Appreciate you being here tonight. So let's head on to the next one. I like the turkey leg too. That's great. So let's go to the important news, guys. Now my nose is running. Now, amongst everything that we've been seeing in the housing market, right? We've been seeing that prices are going to go down. All these really clickbaity things, and as I just showed you, the market here hasn't really changed in a significant way that the news would allow you to believe. Now, this is an interesting article, which, oh my gosh, of course, I got to find the other article because you got to subscribe to this one. So frustrating. But this is an interesting article, and maybe you have seen it, but JP Morgan is looking to put $1 billion into single family build to rent communities. So that means essentially whether they buy the land, they build it themselves. I doubt they're going to do that. They're probably going to wait. They're probably going to subcontract that out and be like, hey, we're going to buy this land and then maybe you develop it. or maybe they just wait until a subdivision isn't having as many sales as they want to, and then they buy out the rest of the phases so that they contract out a certain builder to build X amount of homes. And then once they're built, they go, JP Morgan owns them, and then they start a rental back to the community. So that'll definitely help with the rentals in most areas, but it won't help with the affordability issues as we've had in these past couple of years. They're looking to acquire more properties and start renting them. Now, this is big money. We're talking $1 billion here. I've also heard that BlackRock is also putting $50 billion towards doing the same exact thing in the coming year. Not like we're talking about the past 2 years. We're talking about right now. Why do you guys think that is? I mean, I personally think because they see an opportunity with single family homes and the new construction, the lack of supply that we have. And they see an opportunity to buy it. And real estate is typically a very safe investment with returns that you can almost guarantee. You can't almost guarantee them, but things do happen. But it's a lot more of it's a tangible asset, right? So something that you can go out, you can physically touch, you can see it. Whereas a lot of other assets, you don't have that ability to do so. So they're looking to create Renter Nation, and that's what I'm going to pull up here. So let me kind of want my whole spiel there without going into it, but give me 1 second here. Share my screen. Wow. JP Morgan is about to spend $1 billion on hundreds of rental homes across the U.S. on the way to becoming a mega landlord. Also, one thing you may not know about JP Morgan is that they started an app to make paying rent easier. So it's an online transaction. You just pay it through your debit card, where a lot of people are still using checks. So they're partnering with Haven Realty Capital to go ahead and buy build-to-rent properties. They're starting out in Atlanta. Housing experts warn that it can take a long time to bring build-to-rent properties to the market. And that's something that I feel like we're not talking about anymore either, is that our supply chain isn't back to normal. New construction with move-in ready homes, 2 years ago, that meant 6 months away from now. They're getting better with those timelines, but pretty much all the new construction contracts between myself and my wife right now have gotten delayed in some type of way. And it could be because of labor. It could be because windows didn't, showed up 8 weeks later, which then delayed the whole other process, all their other timelines following that. Albus, enough. So there's a whole bunch of things happening. I know some places can't get water meters. Some places can't get Florida Power and Light to come out. There's a whole bunch of different factors that are going into the supply chain issue and also inflation and all that kind of stuff. So the housing market, they're seeing an opportunity with that. And they're also wondering what's going to happen, just like everyone else. But I think they have the ability to weather the storm. JP Morgan, BlackRock, they have a lot more money than the average person does. So even if housing prices dip for a year or so and interest rates, maybe they go down with the recession that is apparently here or is coming that we're all talking about, who knows, then typically rates should go back down and trend downwards. But they're able to weather that storm. If it is like a year where it is really rough and prices do go down 5 or 10%, then they know that over the next couple of years that they should be able to get their money over a long game. I mean, these guys, they're in the long game. They're not investing for 1 or 2 years. They've been doing it for a long time. So I'll stay up on that. I think that they're doing what everyone else is doing, is that they're buying homes and holding on to them because they're not building enough homes right now. Builder sentiment is very, very low. We are constructing the most homes that we have been since like the 1970s, but new starts are now completely like in the trash can since everything's happened these past couple months. So we'll see what happens here, guys. Looks like I got some more comments. This is awesome. Okay, let's see. David, if you like cold weather, raking leaves, and it being dark outside at 5 p.m., it's a great place to be. Hope to start wintering in St. Augustine soon, my favorite city on the East Coast. Yeah, I went outside the other day and it was 54 degrees. No, it was 64 degrees. And I had to put on like my winter jacket that I wore up in New York. And like, I don't know if it's just I'm just more accustomed to the hot weather here now, where like even the slightest bit of cold, I'm like, oh, it's chilly, I need to put a jacket on. But even today, I had to wear a Patagonia. I just had a hoodie on here, but now I'm sweating. So it is what it is. Outside at 5 p.m., man, it's so dark. I hate it. And like, you know, I guess it's a good thing too. But most people don't want to go see a home at 5 p.m. You know, so after 5 p.m., kind of showings pretty much stop because you can't see anything at night. It's really dark. So I guess that's a good thing. Take a little time off, not having to do showings at that point. But during the week, you know, if people work, it's kind of hard at that point too. So kind of frustrating. But yeah, hey, winter in St. Augustine is fantastic. Night of Lights just started on Saturday. Big light up party. It looked like a ton of people I knew were down there. It looked like a great time. We have been to St. Augustine several times with our 4 kids, 1 dog over the last few years. Nicest people you ever meet. Probably the only place I've been to in the U.S. that has history and the beach. History and the beach. Okay. I'm trying to think if I know. I mean, I'm sure you could find it, right? I was going to say Charleston. Not really. They don't really. I don't know if they have a beach, but Fernandina Beach is like another small beach town. It doesn't have as much history as St. Augustine. It's got a little something, but I agree. I think it's a great place, you know, especially if you're coming to visit, bringing your dog, bringing the family, tons of things to do here. My brother-in-law, he owns an escape room here in town. And it's like, if you've ever done one, he's like a nerd. So he puts all of his effort and energy into it. And it's like the best one that you'll ever do. And I hate actually doing it with them because like I've done like several with them, but they're just so good at it that they know all the puzzles and everything. So it's like, I think I find stuff and I just feel like an idiot after it. But either way, sorry, there's tons of things to do here. And they're just adding more stuff, honestly. It's going to be a good time. I wonder, are you coming down here for Christmas this year? Let me know in the comments below. But guys, let me head on to my next news story. If you have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments below. If you're wondering what things are to do here in town, what the best restaurants are, go ahead and leave them in the comments below too. I will answer those as well. Let me go on to my next news story here. Give me 1 second here, guys. I'm having technical difficulties. This thing isn't really loading at all. All right, so just to talk about more investment here. Now, DLP Capital breaks ground on multifamily project in Palatka. So the cottages at St. John's, this is a picture of it. So this is a St. Augustine-based real estate investment firm. They're right on St. Augustine Beach, but they're going to put the cottages in, and it's going to expect it to be done in late 2024. It's going to be 97 single-story duplex residences. So they're looking for more of like a lower income, you know, rent restricted kind of situation over there, and I think that'll definitely help. And I've talked about Palatka before, and just to give you guys an idea, I'll show you where Palatka is. You know, if you're looking for like a small Florida town, it's not a beach town because it's a significant bit away from the beach. Give me 1 second. I think my wife is home. My dog's freaking out. All right. Sorry about that. So, but Palatka has a great little bit of history as well. I think in like the early 1900s, it had its heyday. Really, when I guess northeastern Florida was starting to be built. I guess because Henry Flagler was coming through, he built Flagler College, which was the Ponce de Leon Hotel. That was back in like late 1800s. So Palatka had its day as a citrus town, but it lies right on the St. Johns River, and it's off one of the main roads that I've talked about on one of my videos, but further east on that road, State Road 207. So State Road 207 runs all the way to St. Augustine. So I've talked about this area on 207 east of 95 between US 1, where I think that's a great area to look if you are considering a place that you want to be close to the beach, you want to be close to downtown. You also want to be close to where like a lot of the new developments going on. They just put a Best Bet down there. They're going to add a hospital down there as well, and also commercial shopping, retail, and a couple car dealerships too. But either way, Palatka is not that far down the street. Really, it's one road, and it takes you about 30 minutes to get into downtown St. Augustine. Maybe it might be 40 minutes. Let me just see here. I'll do the distance for you here. But the housing prices there are easily, I mean, the average price is, I don't know, maybe $250,000, $300,000. I'd have to look. It's not my area of expertise, but it's a really cute old historic town, 36 minutes into downtown Palatka. That's not bad at all. And this area right here is amazing right here. So this is, let me close this here. So this is like the historic area of Palatka. So you have a whole bunch of homes that were built in like the early 1900s, 1800s, all through here that sit on like, I don't know, maybe a quarter or a half acre. Some of them here on River Street are humongous, and they're beautiful, beautiful homes. They have like intercoastal access as well. But yeah, definitely a place you want to look if you're looking for more like a rural feel, a small country town where you can still have access to downtown St. Augustine. Sorry. But yeah, so they're developing in Palatka. I've had friends also who have moved from here over to Palatka, and that's also because I wasn't sharing my screen that whole time. That's embarrassing. Oh my gosh, guys, I wish you could like buzz my system here to let me know that I wasn't sharing my screen that whole time. So let me just recap that real quick, just so you can see what I was talking about. Super embarrassing. Okay, so let's see here. Palatka, it's right here. I'm going to zoom out here so you get an idea. It's 36 minutes from downtown St. Augustine. Guys, trust me, I just did Google Maps on it. And we were talking about DLP Capital, which is opening. You know, I'll put the link in, of course, below. Okay. Breaks ground on a multifamily facility. There you go. Sorry about that, guys. I apologize. But either way, people that were living here in St. Johns County that didn't own a home, and then the price increases started happening, and then they weren't able to compete with other buyers that are coming in from another area, a lot of times with cash, a lot of times with a higher down payment, maybe a different loan type. So the people that were living here and were used to the regular housing prices, they were like, man, this thing's going to crash. These people are buying up all these houses. It's just going up and up and up. How can it sustain it? And the people here that want to buy pretty much got kicked out of town almost because they couldn't compete in these multiple offer situations where you have 20 people putting offers in on houses. You know, they were like, okay, well, where else am I going to look? So, you know, a lot of people go to Palatka, a lot of people go to Palm Coast. Some people even go up to Jacksonville in order to get a little bit more bang for their buck and still be within driving distance to downtown St. Augustine where they work, or maybe in the area of Jacksonville, still not that far away. So I think Palatka is super, super cute. If Maya wasn't such a Jersey girl, we would probably, I'd probably say like, hey, we should live in Palatka because I think like investment wise, it's probably going to go up in the next couple of years. But I don't think that's going to happen for me, guys. So let's see here. Looks like I got a couple. Oh, here we go. David says he's coming down in February. Can't wait. Question. Are there any long-term effects on housing due to two storms that just hit? Any bump in the prices up or down? So I covered in the beginning, like the market stats of the overall market. I wouldn't say that housing prices have gone down at all. I mean, in the past 2 months, they've gone up, and year over year, I think we're up like 14% or so, if I remember correctly. So the past 2 months, it has gone up, and interest rates have been, higher, and that's really the downward pressure on the housing market because it just costs more to buy a house, right? So are there any long-term effects on the housing due to the two storms that just hit? Yes. So there's a place in St. Augustine, St. Johns County, and I think I've covered this on my other live streams, called Summer Haven, where people built homes there. The St. Johns County allowed them to build homes there. And essentially, every time a storm comes in, it erodes the dunes that support those homes and essentially their foundations along with that. So this is one specific part within St. Johns County. This isn't Volano Beach, which I showed last week, but they're talking about now, because taxpayers have had to pay for the dune restoration for these homes. They're talking about now, like the county's like, hey, let's just buy these guys out. Let's spend 10 million. Let's buy these guys out. So we have to stop doing it. Let nature take back what is theirs and just get these, forget about these houses. They probably demolish them and take them away. But yeah, so that's definitely an effect, because that's terraforming pretty much, just because of nature here. So that subdivision, I think, was in there. I mean, some of the houses have been there for a good bit. I mean, over 20 years. If I'm right, I feel like I've seen them since I was a kid, because I always thought they were very cool in their location where they are. But yeah, talking about buying them out, who knows what happens, you know? If not, taxpayer money, you know, we'll just pay for it, because money grows on trees. But David, thank you so much for your question. I love how you're engaging here. Guys, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Let's see here. This one's going to be about Palm Coast here. And I think this is important because last year, Palm Coast, Flagler County actually didn't report, or I think the past 2 years since COVID, didn't report their grades. And then in this past year, they came in as like an entire Flagler County. I think they came in as a B overall, if I remember correctly. I have to double check that, so don't quote me on that. But this is a positive thing, right? Flagler County's grown tremendously in these past 2 years. If you go on the Facebook page, people are upset. Oh my gosh. But it's honestly still a very sleepy town compared to pretty much anywhere in the United States with a heartbeat. 18 million Matanzas High School expansion in Palm Coast planned for early 2025. So they're going to add 18 million worth of renovations and additions to Matanzas High School in Palm Coast. Classroom additions, a new central energy plant, and a multi-purpose building, a new media center, and other upgrades. So that's something that, you know, hey, Flagler County is growing. I think more businesses are going to be going in there. I think for just Palm Coast, when you're living in Palm Coast, then you have Flagler Beach right there. It's nice that you have Flagler Beach right there, because that's kind of like your beachfront restaurants, bar scene, go around, have a good time. But then Palm Coast is like very, very residential, where it's just like the community. You got neighborhood parks. You have a lot of parks, a lot of kayak launches throughout Palm Coast, a lot of access to nature. But then you also just have like residential subdivisions all over with no HOA. So I think that Palm Coast is probably going to grow more and more and more, because like between like people in Orlando who are getting priced out of there, people that live in, you know, South Florida, forget about it. They're all moving up north because it's getting more and more expensive, or they're taking their money and running because they lived there for a while and was like, hey, this is too much for me now. I want to move up north. That's what a lot of what I'm hearing. People moving from Orlando to here, but people moving from St. Johns County down to Palm Coast because of the affordability aspect of it. So Palm Coast, I definitely would put that on your radar if you're considering this area. It's good drive through town, I would say. So let's see here. Now, this one kind of goes with what I was talking about already, and last week at least, about flooding. So flooding is just something that you have to deal with here. It's just something that comes with the area. You know, there's nothing you can change about that, because pretty much all of Florida is in a flood zone. Now, where you are in a flood zone is the most important part. Flood zone X is where you're not required to pay flood insurance. So neighbors oppose proposed apartment complex, saying area along the San Sebastian River already floods. Apartment complex suggested for San Sebastian River in St. Augustine is in a flood-prone area. Okay, so the plan calls for 12 buildings, 40 units, a parking lot with 80 spots, a bulkhead, and a dock. So the neighbors are obviously concerned because they've had floodwater literally coming up to their doors, and instead of like having, you know, maybe some trees, some wildlife to suck that water up, they're going to put a huge parking lot and a whole bunch of concrete, which will definitely push water in a certain direction. Now, where does that water go? Who knows? I'm sure they would have an engineer go out there and design it so that the water wouldn't be displaced on their neighbors. But who knows what happens these days with permitting, with engineers, with county officials, and, you know, maybe a greasing of the palms. You know, who knows what happens today in today's world. We live in a funky time. But let me see here. I think I have one more One more fine. Oh, this one is an interesting one now, guys, and we talked about this last week as well. Now, St. Johns County, like I've said, we've had pressure on our housing market here, the people living here, on people that work, like, you know, if you're working in the service industry, if you're a teacher, if you're a firefighter, you're a cop, you're having a hard time affording living in our area right now if you didn't already own a home. Because if you didn't own a home, well, then you're paying the rent. Well, rent's gone up tremendously. And if you're looking to buy a home, or if you didn't buy a home, well, that's also gone up tremendously. Interest rates have gone up as well. So for a lot of these people, it's been roughly more unaffordable. So for the first time ever, something really, really interesting happened. And I'll share my screen here. Give me 1 second. I gotta take a swig of water. I'm trying to drink a gallon a day, and oh my God, it's so hard. And I normally drink like my whole gallon between 8 and 11 p.m. And I pee all night. But either way, St. Johns County teachers vote down pay raise because it wasn't enough. St. Johns County teachers rejected a proposed pay raise, with many saying the raise wasn't big enough. The fact that the union rejected the proposal was historic. The St. Johns County Teachers Union has been around since 1975 and has never voted against the pay increase until last week. Now, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think about that? You know, because I almost want to say, like, hey, make the progress, take what you can get, and, you know, keep advocate, like, just go back with the same energy and advocate for more. But, you know, if they're on something hot, maybe it's like, if you can get enough media attention, like, you know, maybe me covering it here helps. Who knows? Bring more awareness to the problem that, like, hey, these people, you know, they're starting making $45,000 a year, you know, after taxes and everything. Probably like 35, let's say, you know, that's difficult, you know, that's really difficult to live on. And to buy a house on that, you'd have to be on your P's and Q's, you know, to really be budgeting, to make sure you have no debt, to make sure your credit is really good. So very, very difficult for them right now in today's housing market. I imagine a lot of people are, you know, if they are teaching, then they're considering maybe living in a different county and coming down here to teach. But if you are a teacher, let me know in the comments below what you think about that. I don't know what the right thing is to do. I almost want to say that is not the right thing to do, because you want to get them paid right now. But if you just get a little bit, why can't you just take the whole thing? I'd much rather get the whole thing. So go after it, guys. I support you. Get your money. The county, you know, they got the money. They do. St. Johns County, they got the money. So go after it. I'm with you. So let's see here. Loanoka Harbor. With the partial collapse of some beach high-rise condos in West and Southwest Florida, as well as some East Coast buildings, do you see any changes on beach building codes or having setbacks? You know, that's a great question. I freaking love that question. Let me leave that up. Sorry. So I haven't actually seen any regulation about that. Now, when I covered last week, if you Google Villano Beach Blue House, it'll pull up this house where essentially the erosion has put everything out under the house. So there's like a door with a stairwell in it, and people would assume like, oh, there's a garage next to it. No, there's literally just a door with a stairwell next to it, and everything under it is gone. So as stilts, it's probably sitting, I don't know, probably about 10 feet in the air over sand. And the builder was like, hey, if St. Johns County says I can build it, the buyer wants it, I'll build the house there. So, you know, it's probably going to go back into that, you know, typical, what they see on typical contracts of that caveat emptor, buyer beware. So you got to do your due diligence on what you're buying, essentially, and make sure that you really want to move forward on it. That's probably one of those situations, because if you want to throw enough money at it, you can do it, right? But is it the best idea? You're probably right. Will we see regulation coming in the future? I imagine so. Whether it happens now, I haven't seen anything about it, but I imagine in the future, as this is definitely going to happen. You know, more and more. But as beachfront, I think, becomes more and more valuable to the general public versus millionaires that live on the beach, will the county decide like, hey, instead of maybe just, paying to replace these dunes and all the erosion, maybe we just let it happen and then we just buy these property from these people and then give it back to public land? Who knows? I mean, that might be the way to go, but I don't know. What do I know, guys? What do I know? But great question. I appreciate that question. Fantastic question. Colleen chiming in here. So let's see. Colleen says no. They'll say no more raises. We gave you one last time. The teachers know what they're doing. Yeah, so that's probably right, because like if you can get $10, why would you take $2, right? Or if you can get $10,000, why would you take $2,000? I get that 100%. I agree with you, Colleen. I guess I think of more or less like getting some immediate relief, but maybe there needs to, that's not the way to go. And the immediate relief in the time being, would be working towards more of a raise so that's more affordable, opposed to getting the little bit and not the whole thing. So I appreciate that. I appreciate that comment, Colleen, and I think you're right. I really do. Loanoka Harbor, thank you. Oh my gosh, I didn't even realize how it's a gift basket back here for closing. I got a mess back here. I got the in-laws in town, guys. So I think I'm going to call this one. If you do have any questions, go ahead and leave them in the comments. I will answer them, if not on the live stream here in the next couple seconds, when I look at my phone in the next couple minutes. But we got one. Oh, David, he's holding us on here. But let's see here. David, I agree with Colleen. Plus, St. Johns County is one of the top 2 counties in the state academically. Teachers deserve to get paid. You know what? I was listening to something too, and I don't know. I don't know how the school system is, but they almost need to have like an incentive where there should be like a bonus for like student performance or something, to where like, all the best teachers want to work in this county because they know if they can get their kids to do, get an 85 average for their entire classroom or something like that, or maybe a certain, score on the SATs or whatever, some benchmark, right? To where it's like, you're going to get a $10,000 bonus, I don't know. I think something like that would be fantastic for teachers, and also incentivize them, opposed to just like, hey, you're making X amount of dollars per year, regardless of how well or how bad your students are doing. I don't know if that's already a thing. Obviously, you could get fired. But I know that in my experience, there were some teachers that were great, and I enjoyed my experience. Some teachers that were not great. So let's see here. Let's see. We got some combo going. Okay. So David says absolutely it should be all merit based. Yeah. I mean, that's kind of how it's almost like if you let it take the marketplace over, right? Where it's like in the market, your value is determined by how much value you add to the market, right? So if these teachers are really doing a great job, St. Johns County is the number 2 school district in the entire state of Florida. So, I mean, I think that's saying something. So should those teachers in St. Johns County, the number 2, the number 1, the number 3, should they be getting paid more money because they're doing a better job? I think so. I think that's a great incentive, right? But how do you incentivize places that don't have enough money, right? So that's where that comes into a problem, and you kind of have to spread it. But either way, guys, it looks like I'm going to get off of here, but I appreciate it going back and forth on here. Love the feedback tonight. I hope you guys have a great Thanksgiving and enjoy the time with your family. Enjoy the weekend. Hope you have some time off. If you're working like me, I'm off tomorrow, but I'm working Friday morning already. So I hope you have a good weekend. Hope you have a good week. I'll see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m., where we cover the local market stats, the news that you need to know about, and also do any questions and answer them in the best way I can. Till next week, guys, I'll see you. Have a great weekend. Boop, boop.